Week 8 of Talking Bama with Big C. I'm your host, Colin Big C McGuire. I was a manager on Coach Bryant's last two national championship teams. And what we're going to do is the recap of the Alabama-Texas A&M game and also a preview of the Alabama-Tennessee game. And what we're going to do now is do the recap of the Alabama-Texas A&M game, which, needless to say, was the best game that Alabama played this year. Needless to say, Coach Nick Saban's press conference a week ago, Monday, really got everybody fired up and it helped the team out. He was extremely mad with the fans, and I agreed with him, being disappointed with a 1-point win over Arkansas. 1 point is good as 100 in my opinion, and he thinks the same way. And needless to say, they came out there blowing and going. To begin the game, Alabama got the kickoff and drove downfield and almost threw an interception in the end zone. If that ball had been picked off, it would have been a 99-yard return for a touchdown for Texas A&M, but it did not, and Alabama kicked a field goal and then scored another touchdown before the end of the first quarter, and then it snowballed in the second quarter with 35 points. And the reason I think Alabama won big is, other than being more talented than Texas A&M, they're more physical. Now, Texas A&M, with the type of football they play, which is finesse football, which in my opinion is football, but when you start playing that type of ball, you're going to go up against a physical team like Alabama. The results are going to be disastrous. And Alabama won 59-0. But one of the things that they did, they almost played a perfect game. Really, they did in the first half. No penalties and no turnovers. And they did not miss a field goal. The only field goal they had, they tried, they made it. So the 3 F's they majored in this time: field goals, no fumbles, and no penalties or no flags. So Alabama won 59-0, and they're now number 4 in the AP and coaches poll. And they got Tennessee coming up this weekend up in Knoxville. Now, this series of Alabama and Tennessee has had streaks in it. Starting in 1967, Tennessee won 4 games in a row, and then from 1971 to 81, Alabama won 11 years in a row, and then from 1983 to 82 to 86, 85, I'm getting my dates mixed up. But anyway, Tennessee won it 4 years in a row, and then Alabama won it 7 years in a row, and then Tennessee did it 7 years in a row. And now Alabama has another 7-game winning streak against the Volunteers entering today's game. But anyway, we're going to talk about one of the biggest games, the biggest upset, in my opinion, of this series was in 1990. Alabama started the season that year. This was under Coach Gene Stallings, his first season at Alabama. Started the season 0-3, and entering the Alabama-Tennessee game was 2-3 going into the game. And they did not look too well. Tennessee was unbeaten, had a tie against Auburn, but beat everybody else. And they were they were favored by 11.5 points. And what was really bad was Lee Corso of ESPN fame said that Alabama wasn't good enough to beat even a high school team. And the week before Alabama played Tennessee played Florida, who beat Alabama earlier that year, 17-13, the second loss of the season for the Tide that year. Beat them 45-3. So needless to say, it looked like it was going to be a big-time disaster. Well, Alabama's defense played great, and they held them. It was 6-6, and Tennessee tried a field goal with less than 2 minutes left in the game. It was blocked by Stacey Harrison, and the ball bounced back 30 yards downfield, and Alabama recovered it. All they did was run it 3 plays straight in the middle, and then Philip Doyle kicked a 47-yard field goal to win the game. And this is what I really liked about it. He did the 6-shooters doing this to the Tennessee fans when the game was over with. So anyway, Alabama won that game 9-6, and that helped the coach Gene Stallings' era go in the right direction. And 2 years later, Alabama won the national championship. Now we got the trivia question, which we always have each week on this show. And the trivia question is this: in 1972, Alabama was tied with Tennessee 10-10, and on third down, Tennessee tried to run the ball, and Condredge Holloway got hit and fumbled, and fumbled the ball, and Alabama recovered it, and the next play scored on a 22-yard run to win the game 17-10. Name the Alabama player who caused the fumble, and later on he was a head coach at Alabama. So we'll give you a little easy a clue and give you the answer. Name the player who later on was the head coach at Alabama that caused the fumble against Tennessee in 1972, which ended up being set up the winning touchdown on the next play to beat Tennessee 17-10 in 1972 in Knoxville. We're up against the break, and what we're going to do after the break, we're going to go to the matchups of both Alabama and Tennessee, and we'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Talking Bama with Big C, and right now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the matchups between Alabama and Tennessee, and what I'm going to do is Coach Gene Stallings' method, who runs the ball the best, who stops the run the best, and who has the least turnovers, and this is how they match up. Alabama's run defense is number 26 in the country versus Tennessee's run defense of 65. Alabama's number 1 in the nation in rushing defense, and Tennessee's number 119 in rushing offense. I'd say that's a slight wide gulf margin there. And then Alabama's turnover margin, which is getting better each week, is number 88, while Tennessee is number 61. But still, Alabama's getting better. As they keep on playing like they did last week, from a penalty standpoint, they're getting better and better each week. They eliminate that, and all that. Alabama will win 35-10 over Tennessee on the road. Earlier in the show, I asked a trivia question, and the trivia question is this. 1972, Alabama was tied with Tennessee 10-10 up in Knoxville near the end of the game, and a defensive player for Alabama caused a fumble that set up the winning touchdown by Terry Davis on the next play from 22 yards out. And I gave you a little hint who it was. He later on became the head coach at Alabama. The answer to the question is Mike Dubose, who was from Opp, Alabama, a sophomore that year, wearing number 57. Later on, he ended up wearing number 54, caused the fumble, and Alabama scored on the next play to win 17-14. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to go into my top 10, or the gradingcollegefootball.com, which is a website I came up with. And how the scoring goes like, or the rate, how you get graded on is if you beat a Power 5 conference team, you get 3 points. You beat a Division I team that's not a Power 5 team, 2 points. And you get 1 point for beating an FCS team. And also you get points for winning at home and on the road. But right now, this week, according to gradingcollegefootball.com, Florida State is number 1 with 32 points. Number 2 is Ole Miss with 31. Mississippi State is 29, and the reason why they're staying at 29, they did not play. If you don't play, you don't earn points. If you play and win, you do earn points. Georgia is number 4 at 26. Now here's a little surprise pick. Number 5 is Marshall with 24 points, but tied for 6 is 3 teams. Alabama, Oregon, and Arizona State all at 22. Auburn and Baylor are tied at number 9 for 20. And Notre Dame, who barely lost to Florida State, is number 11. Week 8 of Talking Bama with Big C is coming to a close. And I want to thank James Crenshaw, the producer of the program. Also Robert Williamson, another producer of this program. And also you, the audience and the watchers of this show. Like us on Facebook. Go to JockJive.com, www.JockJive.com, to watch this show. Also, during the week, Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central Time, live or on the archive after 8 a.m. Central Time, go to listen to Talking Sports with Big C during the week, Monday through Friday. Tell your friends about this show, and we want to be big one day, and with your help, we will be. We thank you for your time, and we thank everybody that watches and listens to both shows for your time, and y'all have a great weekend. And this is what else I gotta say. Roll Tide Roll!